Hi, my name is Jasper Oosterveld and I'm a Dutch MVP from Amsterdam, the Netherlands. I work for a Dutch company called Inspark as a modern workplace consultant. I support customers on a daily basis implementing the modern workplace with a focus on Microsoft Teams and SharePoint and OneDrive. And around that focus area I work a lot with compliance, governance and adoption. When should you use public channels, private channels or shared channels? I would advise to use shared channels if you want to communicate and collaborate directly with a set of people without the need to invite them to the entire team. That's the current downside of a private channel. Before you're able to add someone in that private channel, they need to be added to the team first. That means they get automatic access to all your public channels. That's not always something that you want, or that's something that should happen. So that's where the power lies of shared channels. You limit oversharing. What's the best way to manage teams with shared channels? Well, once shared channels are enabled and owners are creating the shared channels, the settings for a shared channel are all determined within the settings of the team. That's where they, for example, can change their member permissions or how you can work with mentions if you want to use fun stuff. With every shared channel, similar to private channels, a SharePoint team site is created. And this team site can be managed by the SharePoint Online administrators within the SharePoint Online Administration Center. What governance best practices should be implemented for shared channels? You first need to think about if you want guest access to be enabled for shared channels. This is something you can enable or disable. This, of course, is very similar to working with guests for teams in general. You need to decide if you want to enable that and in what manner. You also need to review your existing Microsoft Teams policies. Shared channels will be automatically enabled by Microsoft. There are some settings you can change within the policy settings. For example, disabling or enabling external access. You also need to review the membership actions that can be performed within the shared channel. And these are of course divided between owners, members and guests. Last but not least, you also need to look at your compliance strategy, because a shared channel will be used for file sharing, conversations and maybe external access. You need to match those with your compliance implementation and compliance regulations. What are the top tips for training business users while working with shared channel? The advantage is that most of the features within a shared channel are very similar to public or private channels, increasing the adoption rate of shared channels. But before they create one, your business users do need to understand what's the business case for creating a shared channel. Once you've communicated this to them, they understand when to create one and when they don't create one. And there's one new feature they should be aware of, and that's the ability to share a shared channel with an entire team or a team they own. And that's something that doesn't exist within private channels.